Foxhole has one of the most invested player bases I've ever seen in a game. And even if much of that player base dropped out of the current Foxhole war because of the state of the game right now, they're still making their presence known.
I hate this island, I hate this place, I hate planes.
I hate this game. I'll see you tomorrow.
Endless lists of feedback and suggestions, organized slides, a ton of fan art, and even a satirical but hilarious, high-effort developer stream where players unveiled a fake update while comically pointing out issues with the game in its current state.
Let's just make sure we go faster because we want to be respectful of some people's time.
This is a community that really cares about the game. They want it to survive.
Oh my god,
And well, a very vocal community, even if they've stepped back from the game for now, is far better than swaths of players quietly abandoning the game. So, how did Foxhole end up in this predicament? You see, Foxhole just had its most expansive update ever, the Airborne update, which introduced aircraft to an otherwise vertically challenged game. The update brought in a massive number of players, breaking Foxhole's peak concurrent player count by a huge margin. However, it turned out that some of these new additions to the game, like these newfangled bombers, quickly destroying unattended bases, wasn't very good for gameplay in a 24/7 persistent wargame. Especially one like Foxhole, where dedicated logistics players spend a lot of time building bases and stockpiling them with player-made supplies. A lot of the other new aircraft brought their fair share of problems, which should be expected given how dramatically different planes were from the rest of the elements of the game. Clearly, it's pretty hard to get this kind of thing right the first time around, especially with a game as complicated as Foxhole. So inevitably, players got burned out. I wouldn't blame them. Some gameplay loops felt a lot less fun. Keeping a base standing now was more of a grating grind than it already was, at least once bombers were researched. On top of that, some parts of the game became obsolete because of the advent of flight, such as the Warden submarine, which was effectively replaced by the Warden torpedo bomber. It could be scrambled faster than a sub and at a much lower cost than a sub. So once the first Airborne war ended, the succeeding wars had dramatically less players. Eventually, there were even less concurrent players than pre-Airborne update numbers. But also after the first Airborne war, the devs rushed out a hotfix that actually gave the players some changes that they've been asking for since the Airborne update's testing server. Changes such as making it a lot easier to recover downed aircraft with cranes, and the ability to carry individual small aircraft parts by hand. We all know the pain of trying to recover an aircraft frame by daisy-chaining cranes together and moving parts with trailers that were never around when you needed them. It was tedious, to say the least. Of course, these changes were technically limited by what could be done with a hotfix. It wasn't enough. Updating the game right then and there probably would have led to a lot of half-finished elements being pushed out, along with having to end the war prematurely on Foxhole's second server, Charlie. Larger changes would have to wait until the announced Update 64 arrived. But soon after this was also when the intern dev stream happened. Randomly going live on Twitch was a developer stream showcasing a hypothetical Update 65 on a Twitch channel called Foxhole Game _official, which of course was anything but official. A few Foxhole players got together to make a satirical dev stream, where they pretended to be interns working on Foxhole, pointing out changes that were supposedly coming in the upcoming Update 65, where they talked exactly the same way the devs did during their dev streams where they revealed updates.
Underground. It's going to be like, this is just a hint of what's to come later on, but if you like combine multiple of these, you can make your own little NG underground like city.
It was really funny, and they did it live too. And how they remained in character the entire time was one of the greatest feats of self-control I have ever seen.
I mean, the Collie faction, they just don't deserve anything good.
Jokes aside, they made a ton of really good suggestions for the game, especially regarding quality of life. But alas, the Twitch channel would go down mid-stream.
Procusio, Prosecco,
Wait,
the Collie, like 80... Huh?
My account is suspended. Oh,
Your account
No way! We gotta take it down! No way!
No way!
We gotta take it down, that's crazy!
The devs confirmed that they were not responsible for the takedown. In fact, they were watching the stream. It was probably Twitch assuming that the real Foxhole Twitch channel was being impersonated. Eventually, the stream went back up, but on YouTube, and thousands of players tuned in.
Why are you showing this? It's still in development.
So it's going to be very immersive. We'll also add...
We got the idea from Bismarck, if I'm gonna be honest.
And of course, this wasn't the only set of PowerPoint slides out there. There were plenty of those made by a few different players on different topics, whether it was anti-air concepts or asymmetry. A few weeks later, the devs would break their usual silence with an update on Update 64. The devs cancelled their post-Airborne break to target having the public testing server for the update up by the middle of May along with the roadmap. And with a later announcement that Foxhole's 134th war would be ended prematurely, hopes were pretty high that this signified that the actual update should drop a few days after May 25. The devs admitted that while they don't always get things right, they were committed to making Foxhole better, and that wasn't going to change moving forward. Which is nice, I guess. I really hope they can follow through with that. We'll just have to wait and see. I do hope that they are considering hiring a community manager though. The Foxhole community is, or well, was, much bigger than it was half a decade ago. While I understand the appeal of pulling a No Man's Sky type of comeback, the community needs proper lines of communication, especially at times like these. That being said, Foxhole's been through dire straits before. I don't remember exactly what made Foxhole pop up on my radar all those years ago, but I think it was the Logi strike. Foxhole was in trouble because an update made logistics an insane grind to do, and both factions' logistics players were not having it. They banded together under the banner of LOGI, or Logistics Organization for General Improvement. They made a unified, reasonable list of demands and effectively went on strike. Front lines were to be starved of supplies and ammunition by both sides. What few logistics players remained were hounded by those who went on strike but decided not to take a break from the game, because they became partisans, sneaking in behind enemy lines and cutting off logistics trucks and pirating ships full of supplies en route to the front line. Foxhole wasn't Foxhole anymore. So eventually, the devs caved in to the logistics players' demands. I hope that it doesn't come down to doing something like that again, since something similar now, by boycotting planes for example, would lead to a lot of friendly fire from players trying to enforce the strike. And at that point, there's a thin line between enforcing the strike and griefing by ruining other people's gameplay.
I have landed. I'm sorry.
I know this video's getting a bit gloomy, but it's nice to see how active the community still is, even if they haven't returned to playing yet. You shouldn't play a game if you aren't having fun anymore. So, I was supposed to post this video last Saturday, but the day before the posting day, The devs gave us an update on Update 64. At first, I was extremely happy to cancel the video, but then I realized that it was still pretty relevant, and I just reworked the video a bit. Anyway, Update 64 looks pretty neat. Highlights include SPAA built from garages, anti-air tracking and hit registration improvements, 2 new scout planes so that each side gets droppable mines and mini torpedoes, new medium torpedoes for torp bombers, aircraft nerfs, and making nukes tech before bombers so that we can get some good old Foxhole fighting over the nuke site before the rocket launches gameplay back. Maybe it'll lead to a meta of nuking airfields so that bombers don't get to ever be used. I don't know. And of course, there were a slew of quality of life improvements, many of which were lifted directly from the intern stream, and the devs acknowledged this. But I think a really important thing in the dev blog was that the devs announced their new roadmap, where they were committed to updates every 6 weeks, with better communication to help fix the game. And those updates would be regarding balance and quality of life, not necessarily new toys for us to play with. I think that this is the right approach since Foxhole now has air, land, and sea in the game. It's time to start fixing issues that have been plaguing Foxhole rather than pushing out new content. However, the devs stated that they couldn't cover everything in Update 64. For example, there isn't a major change for naval gameplay other than nerfing the torpedo bomber thanks to the new medium torpedoes. I'm still hoping for better anti-air at sea. I know that the devs needed to make some hard choices regarding what should be fixed first, and this band-aid solution for the smaller naval player base might be able to bring back larger surface engagements to some degree. Not that we weren't having a few of those in the lower population wars of 133 and 134. But having 2 navies lining up getting ready to fight, only to have a battleship get struck down in a minute by half a dozen torpedo bombers, while all we could do was sit back and watch, was not ideal.
Okay.
I'll probably have a part 2 for this video when the actual public testing server goes up. That way I can go more in-depth about the details of the update, and with the second intern stream too, since I was, well, quietly hanging out there in the background during that. For the record, I didn't contribute to it, I was too busy dealing with either the Spearhead video or real life anyway, so I was running on a few hours of sleep at like 2:30 AM when the stream started. But the amount of work they put into it was kind of ridiculous. No AI used, lots of 2D art, 3D models, and even some complicated graphs. This was their baby, and it shows.
Bro, the masses will never know just how much, like...
Stuff was done way too late in the thing.
So do I just not say that?
No, you can say
No.
that.
I think this update is a very good step in the right direction, and I hope it succeeds. And if not, the devs are committed to trying again every 6 weeks. Though I hope that that schedule is a little bit flexible in case we actually have a long, fun, drawn-out Foxhole war. With all that being said, I hope to be able to make a Foxhole is alive and well video in the near future. While the Airborne update wasn't exactly smooth sailing to say the least, I think that the battles I covered at Spearhead Island show what Airborne could be like in the future, once more of the update's gremlins get sorted. So, let's be cautiously optimistic. Put the shovel down. Don't bury Foxhole just yet. Oh, and if you think I'm biased in making this video, well, of course I am. I love this game, and I'd hate to see it go. I really hope that this video ages well.